So there's sort of JSON layouts, JSON renderings, JSON variants, and these are sort of the core things that you can API tools you can make to pull back your SXA content. And finally, we have commerce renderings for SXA that Bruce and Ryan just mentioned briefly before. So, Cycro Experience Commerce was released, I think it was on Tuesday this week. So we've got a project starting with that, so we've been anxiously waiting for it to drop especially last week. Yeah, so we're super happy that that's actually been released now. And so this comes with our commerce comes with 43 built components, SXA components, and they have renderings for cart, checkout, account orders, catalog, and a lot more. However, if you're looking to do something really funky on the front end with your cart, checkout process, that type of stuff, these are good starting points potentially, but you might be looking at sort of writing your own.
But there's enough there for a full commerce experience.
Absolutely.
Even payment providers like Braintree
Absolutely.
straight away at the box.
Yeah. That's right. So, site tour, faster than ever. That's the question. So I'm going to hand over to my colleague Nitesh now. He's going to walk you through a couple of demos about some pros and cons.
Right, so I'm going to be talking more about advantages and disadvantages of pros and cons, we say, mostly about SXA. Mostly what Luke said, I will be taking very similar, but we'll go through demos maybe for them. So that's one of the best functionality drag and drop for content editors. From developers' point of view, you still create the renderings in the same way, but it's just like all the renderings which are commonly used are already pre-built. So we don't have to waste time on breadcrumbs, media, rich text, and those ones. So let's quickly have a look at how they work. So that's the toolbox. So it comes with quite a lot of them. Some of them are custom as well in here. Text. Here ones are quite handy. Video, page content is quite common ones. Plain HTML page list. So if you want to have a small navigation on the left side, just put the page list and it looks at all the pages below that page. So as Luke said, it's easy to edit the views of them, but if you want to have control over the controller and all those code, then it's worth to create your own custom rendering controller. So let's see how this works. So these are all the placeholders that we have put. You could have just one on the page, and editor can drag all the critical column. They can split the columns as they want. In the next slide, I think I'll show you that. So let's just add one drag and drop and just see how it works. So all the components are as easy as this, so you can just drag and drop. Previously, it wasn't that straightforward. You had to either select the component or something like that and find which folder the components are and all that stuff.
And you can see the personalization testing as well, supporting your out box option there.
Yeah, I think everything that you can do with rendering before, you can still do it. It's just on the top of the current renderings. This just adds extra functionality. So lots of pre-built components like rich text, image, search. Generally takes quite a lot of time. Accordion carousels, these are quite tricky to build as well, especially then integration with frontend and all that stuff. So if you don't want too much customized accordions and carousels, I think this is a perfect fit.
So it's complex. Can you explain that? Or it's completely
So
still developed?
Yeah, so that works for
I'm going to show you can export and import a theme as well to start your components. So with accordions, or let's say accordion for example. Yes, so I've created a data source already. So all the control is from here now. You can save that. So with this accordion component, it's just the plus icons we have added, and we have given some margins and padding. But other than that, all the layer was already there with this. The JavaScript and everything was ready. There's options that do you want to have first one always open? Do you want to have the current page open? Do you want to have? You don't want to allow them to close any of the accordions. So once you open, you can always keep them open. So all those functionalities already inbuilt. So they are quite customizable in terms of all those options. But if you want to edit some code or something for the controller, I would say create your own accordions.
But we have to start from scratch.
So yeah, you can edit the description of the accordion here. You can edit this one. You can, if you click here, you can add a new accordion straight to the data source from here. You can remove the item. So most of the components are straight. For tabs is very similar as well. You drag and drop an arrow data source and it shows you the different tabs for them. Navigation, breadcrumb, or breadcrumb has got lots of options. You can actually override the page names as well, which is quite hard to build actually. All that can be done and it stores on the XSA component. With all these components, you can add custom variants, rendering variants, or styles to them as well. And all that is part of SXA. So it's straightforward. You can just do a presentation of that and just say add some more rendering variants.
If you have multiple pages using the same accordions, is there a way?
Yeah, so you create a data source and just put that accordion again and use the same data source.
Can we configure the image for any service component?
Configure what?
Events, page events or?
So email personalization or
Okay, goal.
yeah, so that was a part of engagement rules. Is that something?
You could put that in you could put that with JavaScript, couldn't you? And then just have a callback on back end, suppose that guidance, something like that.
The one that the little you were talking about, what you do, stuff for customization.
Yeah.
Is it true you can put a tab inside an accordion and then inside those tabs put more accordions? And how deep can you go?
Definitely not recommended, but you know how editors are. So they actually put in accordion inside a tab and they actually went down and put another accordion as well. It's not right.
And that should dynamic place policy.
How is Google want to look at that?
All the components in there are responsive. You touch it to responsive.
Yeah, so all of them are responsive and adaptive. So you can decide which framework you're using. And
So when you choose that framework, it just does correct HTML with the classes onto the components, depending on what framework it is. Can you switch your framework once you really started on your site? So if you choose a bootstrap responsive,
I think you've got to go back and make some changes. If you switch it in the middle, you've got to take a while to unwind that.
okay, so you have to know.
Yeah.
I think even if you're, I think one of the limitations I'm going to go through later on is like halfway if you're deciding to change things, it's the good idea of the SXA. You should make your decision early enough and then go with them. So grid layout, again, looks at the 4 options available: Bootstrap, Foundation, Grid 160, and your custom framework. So your front end can decide how my accordions and all that stuff works. Just quickly show how. Actually, gonna go over a video and show that. Let's take a little bit of time. Okay. So what I'm doing here is just throwing a splitting column. with split column, I can divide 6 column by 6 column, 3 by 3, 6, or something like that. So I added one split column, going to its properties, and I'm saying, okay, make it 6 by 6, I want half one. So your content editors can decide the page structure. You don't need to be deciding your rich text is always look like this. Then I'm going on the right side and I'm saying, okay, I want 2 rows inside this. One for rich text and one for images. So I did 2 rows. The second one I want again half.
So you can split the tabs, put your accordion, and split the accordion, put all different tabs. Kind of the exceptional system.
It's pretty much like dynamic processes.
But yeah, they do a custom implementation of dynamic placeholders, which with cycle one uses the other bills. Now it's shaking his head some of the UX Yeah. So it starts back on the earlier thing I went to, and you get the early image. There are bugs as with any new site core feature. So you kind of want to, if you can get onto 9, but you can start it earlier if you're doing campaign sites and things. That's a really good use case for these, is people that are splitting up campaign sites with unique branding. You don't want to reinvent the wheel and do 23 different slides. You want to do a theme each time. Your front users do that. We just split up this multi-site thing.
So I'm going to pause the video here, and now I have played the video again after a few minutes because it was taking quite a lot of time to add those components. But you'll see in a second what I have added. So I have added 2 images, rich text, an image on the left, but there's no margins between them. So I thought, let me show you how variants and stars and those things work. So you can add custom variants in over stars. This was fast. So I'm just taking properties and then you're saying on important. So once that does, when we give the margin bottom, it adds. So instead of margin bottom, you could add variants as well, which could have some values. So depending on the values, you would want to change some CSS classes. So another benefit is if you got mini sites, campaign sites for once, this is very handy. So you just create the themes once, and then you ask have a documentation how campaign editors can create the site, and they can create all the campaign sites on their own. So they go, okay, new site, they put the name of the site, then they say what features they want. Sometimes it's possible you don't want to have too much heavy, a lot of rendering components, so you can decide actually for site A, I only want context ones. For site B, I want everything. Then you can decide a theme, and when you make a theme, maybe first I create a new thing, call it dark theme, light theme, and then your editors can, while creating, select which theme they want every time. So that's what the structure looks like. You will have 5 folders below your site. Home, media, data, presentation settings. Home generally holds all your pages of the website. Media is all the media library items. Now it's totally up to you whether you want to decide and put media under that site tree or in a common media library. Because this actually duplicates the media concept of site one. If you want to have campaign images only for that campaign, use this media folder. Otherwise, use the global media folder and have folder structure inside that as well. With data, it creates all the data sources folders for all the SXA components like accordions, tabs, and all that stuff. So if you look at this, it's created all those folders for me, all the data source folders. And then the presentation holds all your page design, partial designs, available rendering. So that's where you can decide which rendering to show for the site. So it could be possible you want all of the page context points, but for editors you only want maybe rich text. So you can go in available rendering and say only settings, you can decide what settings you want for search, social media settings, and all that stuff. Right, so export and import pages, which also exports themes and assets. So this is good because designers, frontends, backend, everything can work parallel with content editors. So here you can see this export option. So it exports it in a zip file, like that, open that, and all the pages of the website are here. And then all my media assets files, theme files are in here. So you can edit these themes if you want, but it's a risk when you upgrade. So themes, so this is all my styles. So this is where you would override the styles if you want. Obviously, don't try and edit the file that the site code has one. I'll create my own CSS, put it at the last, and all of this is going to be merged into one. So edit with your own styles here. Similar for the JavaScript. You can put your own scripts and all that stuff here. So once you this is the structure we have in Cypher, and that's why it's exported like this. So you can see all the way it was here the structure we have in Cypher. And once you're done, go back, zip it up, and you can import that back. And all your styles will be here. You have to publish your styles, scripts, whatever you have updated. So that's a bit of a manual process. It only stays in master database when you publish it to that database.
And you can get around that with utility pages that could publish and have your deployment process if you're using CI or something to do that for you. And your surface will install this for you as well.
Right, so that was all the benefits of SXA, but with our projects we did find there were some limitations as well. Now, some of them are already fixed by Cypher. We did raise tickets for them, and as you know, that is something new comes out, it's always at some point. So it's good for new sites, but if you decide for existing sites to use it for, let's say, a site which already existed and you want to use it on that, it needs a lot of style scripts and the structure it has got for themes, also for settings. So when you're creating a new site, make your decision beforehand whether you want to use SXA or not. If you want to, or if you are not sure, install it and then don't use it. If you want to use it for existing sites, you can do it, but bit of a problem because then you have to install it, copy all the files inside the home folder, and things can go wrong as well. Our site was multilingual. We had Chinese, simplified Chinese, traditional Chinese, Portuguese. We did find heaps of problems with spatial characters. So all that has been fixed though in version 9. It was very hard to clone the SXA rendering components when you want to move from one language to another language page. So if you want to copy a rendering that is added as SXA and go to another page, that wasn't very straightforward to find. We did find using language and version manager module inside code modules was quite handy for this. So it can actually copy your whole page to another version. So that's quite useful. The CSS files were not SEO friendly. It was repeating the fonts every time on every accordion component, carousel component, the same code. So that wasn't good, but that's also fixed in version 9 now. I think that this one is already mentioned, like you cannot edit out of the box SXA components. It's not straightforward. You need to rebuild from scratch if you want to. Now, I know it's beneficial to the editors that they can control the structure of the page, but it's also a disadvantage because you don't want to do so much power sometimes to the editors that they break the page layouts, right? So you need to be careful with that. So make sure you give proper namings to your styles, proper namings to your variants. Maybe create drop downs for your variants instead of them writing CSS class names. So yeah, make it easy for them. Try if you have got something which is like 4 people in in a row, then make some layout for it or custom rendering component instead of them entering 4 people 4 times by column splitter.
back on half an hour. That's good.
Thanks, Mukesh.
So tell us up with any questions if you've got any, if you want to help with SXA or anything like that. Right, my hand over now to Bill Johnson. He's our Experience Design Director. He's going to walk you through a presentation. It's going to be cows on steroids much time.
I don't know about that. No, that's fine. So I'm just trying to figure out how to put one of these new Macs in. Yeah. Oh.
One person watching.
Hmm?
That's one person watching.
One person watching. Yeah.
Where's his wife?
Hi, honey.
Thanks, guys. So, as Luke said, I'm the UX and XD director here. So, I sit sort of halfway between strategy and design. Get involved in a lot of sort of CX activity as well. So, understanding the needs of businesses, trying to translate that into something that you guys can use from a technical perspective. So I thought what I'd do, I can't come at you with anything as technical as what you've just been sort of treated to by these guys.
Phew.
So I just thought I'd give you a bit of a sort of view of the other side of the fence, so to speak, so the work that we do. In trying to make moments that matter. So by this what we mean is just those sort of meaningful sort of digital experiences that are going to resonate with customers, with users, but ultimately sort of turn the dial for the businesses that we all work for. So there's one thing I do want to apologise for as well. This isn't specifically a side call thing, there's a bit of a Dolby as well, so please don't shoot the message. So this is just a bit of upfront platitude, just to say that our CX teams design end-to-end experiences that ensure clients are connected across all channels and touch points. Yeah, but the way we try and do it is in a way that customers expect to interact with brands today. This has been the big movement. What it's done is taken us from this situation that's kind of been in place for many years. Ever since the dawn of advertising, what we've always tried to do is make money for the business, shift the dial for the business, always work for the man. But now where we're at, the customer owns that brand experience. They're the people that dictate how businesses should run. And we hold this guy up as being one of our heroes. Love him or hate him, this guy is amazing. You can see this is just one of the quotes that we like to sort of trot out occasionally. And it's all to do with the fact that Jeff Bezos believes he's built his quite sizable empire by always going for what the customer needs. And he believes that he's successful not when somebody buys his service, it's when somebody uses his service or his product. So he said, above all else, align with customers with when they win and win only when they win. So yeah, he's a bit of a hero. And just to sort of throw it back a little bit towards what you guys have been talking about tonight. He was talking about personalization 20 years ago. And there's a quote that I pulled out here. So he was asked by somebody to describe what he meant by personalization. This was in like the year 2000 or something. And he said it's when you go into a bar and sit down, the bartender puts a whiskey in front of you without you even having to ask for one. That's his definition of personalization from 20 years ago. So yeah, he kind of knows what he's doing. So how do we do this type of work? I'll just give you a little bit of an insight into how we do it. It's a great experience design is informed by evidence-based context, understanding what users actually need. The more context we have about all influences of the experience, the better decisions we can make for our audiences. So we usually turn to journey mapping to a certain extent, large or small. It kind of sits behind a lot of what we do. And the way that we get to that, obviously lots of upfront research. We try and lean on the research that's already been done by a business because businesses
businesses have invested massively in their research over the last few years. So we always try to scrape that first before we try to design any other research sort of projects around it. That goes into mapping, which I'll show you some examples of. This is critical to us as well. We always try and go that extra level with journey mapping and create opportunities off the back of what we've seen in those journeys, because that's something that's actionable by the customer. So just give you a quick sort of overview of a basic map process. This is something that we did for an education institute in Australia, the Deakin. It's one of the journey maps of a student. So we typically frame them up like this. It might be they're unaware, then they consider, then they decide what courses to do, then they apply, there's a waiting period, and then they sign up and start with their education. The swim lanes that sit beneath each of those, so there's a sort of what we say, there's an above the water line and a below the water line. So above the water line is the customer's actions, pain points and needs at each stage in this journey. Below the water line, and equally important, is how the business responds to deliver the experience that's required in each of these steps. So with that as the sort of theory, this is one of the many maps that we generated for Deakin. So you can see that process played out there. You can see the journey that they went through: awareness, discovery, exploration, application for a course and then completion. We sort of measured the tension in terms of their emotional state. You can also see their key needs, and you can see the business's key needs, importantly, against these. So the business needs to deliver on these by delivering on this. But as I mentioned before, importantly, we always add this extra layer of opportunities and principles. And these don't just relate to digital, these relate to people, processes, systems, the way that the business itself can respond and react, change the way that it works to deliver on this experience. So what I thought I'd do with that sort of in the back is kind of show you a similar process applied to Nissan in Australia. And the reason for doing this is that it resulted in quite a neat sort of innovation technical project that you guys might see some value in because of the way you work the cycle. So yeah, Nissan, similar process: research, mapping, opportunities, strategy, design and build. So the first part of the research, very, very high level landscape context. That's customer loyalty first, 67 vehicle brands in Australia. So how can Nissan continually build customer loyalty with all of those other vehicle brands in the face of those customers? In terms of mobile, obviously a big talking point. 60% of auto buyers surveyed indicated they use the smartphone. That's no surprise. But how can Nissan leverage that to take advantage of the trend? And then finally, in terms of brand consistency, there's 300 franchises across Australia and New Zealand, lots of different sizes and types of different styles of customer service. So how can Nissan keep its sort of perception of its brand consistent across all of those different franchises? And where we got to was a bit of an oh shit moment when Nissan realised in the general sort of purchasing journey of getting a car, what always happens is once a customer has bought the car and they drive off, the car brand has lost contact with that customer. They don't have any contact with them at all. So this was the big question: how can we help Nissan gain a clearer view of the customer's overarching experience and their relationship with the brand and protect it, foster it, keep it alive? So again, same process. Lots of journey mapping in terms of the car purchasing journey, but going on into ownership as well, importantly. So not just stopping at the point where the guy pays his money, or they pay the money, but actually going to ownership. So what is this ownership experience? You can also see it over here. Yes, I know it's Adobe. But what we've done is the communication opportunities, or generally the opportunities, and how technology can respond to those opportunities and delivering them to benefit these needs across this customer journey. So all of that was done. Great project. The client loved it. It's now being used to align lots of siloed teams on their side. So there's a sort of alignment diagram. Different teams can, excuse me, can look at different points of the journey and go, we think we can make a difference there. We think we can tweak that process. So the big question still remains, how can Nissan retain this sort of contact with the customer after they bought the car, when they're enjoying being car owners, being Nissan owners? So we came back to the customer journey. Right at the very end, right at the bottom, this little thing, scheduled servicing reminders. And we found out a lot about that particular subject. We're talking to the drivers themselves. It was quite a proactive thing on their part. They had to go through the effort of booking their car in and all of that sort of stuff. And some people would just not bother because they're too busy. And Nissan thought, well, do you know what? We think we can make a difference here. So we took that as a challenge, and we got our R&D team involved. So AKQA is a sort of networked agency. We have a distributed R&D function, and I know you've probably heard that a lot from various agencies. Maybe have some clever tech stuck in a corner somewhere, and they call it a lab. But we actually do have a lab, and it's got all kinds of gizmos and stuff in there. It's just like an Aladdin's cave. So this is where our R&D team hang out. And what we do is we throw them a challenge, and then they set up a 3-week sprint. 3-week sprints consist of, so firstly it's the research, and in this instance the research isn't customer research, it's technology research, really. It's the feasibility and viability of what's out there from emerging tech, existing tech. How can we bring it to bear in delivering something that's not happened or doesn't exist yet? So we then go through into the develop. So literally this is just rapid prototyping, smashing together some things that can be tested, just to see if there's, the sort of the essence of a solution there. That's both physical and it's code-based as well. And then finally, the documentation. This is often something that gets missed. You do all of this work, you get to a point of, yes, this is going to deliver, then it needs to be captured. This is tested, it needs to be documented, so the client's got that value. It can be given to any developer, anywhere, to be stood up and built and developed. So that's their 3-week sprint process. So back to the key challenge. How might Nissan leverage the power of emerging technologies or converging technologies to create useful, connected, robust, personalised experiences for drivers? I write this stuff all the time. I know it's a bit awful, but it's structured like a user story. You guys have seen this sort of thing before, a lot more boiled down. But this is the sort of thing that we as an XD team can respond to as well. So the user story thing is pretty universal. So this is where we got to. Thinking about the in-car experience, for many of us here, we've got the mobile phone in the car, and because obviously you're not supposed to drive while you're using the phone, we're starting to see a lot more speech, or the sort of wanky XD term is zero UI. But we're starting to see a lot more sort of voice-activated services in cars. So first of all, that's something that we thought we could build on. And when you think about the sort of proliferation of sensors and Internet of Things, and we've got some of these things in our houses, but it's a bit of a slow burn. But we're slowly getting there. It's still seen as quite a new thing. So being able to raise your garage door when the house senses your car driving towards it, security cameras that automatically turn on it and send you the image if they suspect there's somebody in your house, etc. It's all very sort of interesting stuff. It's still got a long way to go. But in your car, this has been happening for years. There's lots of sensors, lots of automation, and there's this universal thing, the OBD, that sits at the heart of most of the cars that are out there at the moment. So that was our big sort of inroad into something interesting we can play with. We've got voice, we've got a universal interface. So what can we do?
What's the step?
I think onboard diagnostics.
Yeah. So excellent diagnosis. So this is the sort of interesting technologies that can be connected together to create something that's innovative that hasn't existed before. Sorry. But the power of Adobe Marketing Cloud or AEM, you could easily transplant Sitecore into that picture and it would sit there perfectly well. So you're thinking about Google Speech API, speech to text, connecting it through Watson, it's how it all sort of converted into some sort of conversation service, putting it into Marketing Cloud for various reasons, which will become clear in a second. But obviously, it's the car itself that is the sort of the instigator and the source and the receiver of all of this experience. There's a little video that sort of puts it all into context for you.
Hello, listen.
Hello, Tom. What can I help you with?
What's that light?
That's the service due light. You have driven 20,000 kilometers since your last service. It might be time for a checkup. Would you like to know more?
Yeah, remind me when my Nissan was last serviced.
Your Navara STX was last serviced 6 months ago at Dandenong Nissan. Would you like me to book you in there again?
Yeah, please do.
I can also arrange a courtesy car. Looks like a Navara 2017 model would be the best fit. Does that suit you?
Yeah, sounds good.
Based on your calendar, and the next available booking is Tuesday the 14th of March. Does that work for you?
Could you make it Wednesday?
Booking in for Wednesday 15th of March. Is this correct?
Yep.
Thanks, Tom. You will receive an email to confirm. Is there anything else I can help you with?
Not today, thanks.
Thanks, Tom. Have a great day.
So as you can see, his experience there, he's done all of that stuff without his hands even leaving the wheel. All of those connected technologies have allowed him to query what that sort of fault is with his car, which is then interrogated some database somewhere that's responded with his service one. He's been able to book a service and have a confirmation back to his own personal calendar. He's then been able to query sort of the availability of a replacement car, and then he's booked that as well. But that's, I mean, for us, that was a really lovely way to sort of create this connected experience that just simplifies things for that guy. So from Nissan's perspective, they've seen this, absolutely loved it. It's gone into production now. But in terms of delivering on the key challenge, what it now means is that for him, that's actually Nissan talking to him. It's not the dealer, it's actually Nissan. So we build that connection back, and then we can start to build on it again using similar technologies. So there you go. I just thought I'd give you a bit of an insight into kind of a broader piece that we get involved in. This is probably not applicable to most in the room, but it's just some key takeaways from this type of project. So I'll always start with what matters most to customers, what matters most to the business. If we get it right for the customers, ultimately we get it right for the business. Journey maps, don't just map a journey and walk away, actually make them actionable. So what does this mean? Is it an opportunity? Can technology deliver on this? And so forth. Leveraging existing tech as well. Don't need to just turn to emerging tech and new shiny things. You know, there's a lot of powerful technology out there that the clients are already sitting on that we can leverage. And then opportunities. No need to boil the ocean. If you've done the first bit right, as you can see from the Nissan journey map, it was just a tiny little thing right at the end of the journey that we've been able to deliver on. And there was hundreds of them. So that's the kind of benefit of just focusing in, really zeroing in and knowing the customer need. So that's me. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, Mel. I think that's a really, really good example of how those emerging and integrated data sets can
bring just huge value. I've got a confession. My name's Bruce, and I've been playing with WordPress last night. It's fantastic, mate. I can't believe the number of plugins and versatility. If you just want a CMS to do content management, brilliant. But what I'd say is that Sitecore is not a CMS really anymore. It's a customer experience platform. And just taking back to what you're talking about now, I really want to think about those customers first, and what data sources we're sitting on that we haven't tapped into, and what other data sources we're going to be experiencing in the future. The XConnect frameworks there to plug them all in. So to me, it's really, really exciting. It's only really limited by your imagination and what you can perceive of making your customers come first. Thank you everyone so much for attending tonight. The weather's not fantastic, so we want to go back out in the rain for a bit and get damn, yeah! I'm going to send out a bit of a survey after this and see what everyone thought, how we can do things better next time. This is the first one that Ryan and I have run. We had a few issues with the streaming over here, never mind. Let's move on to that, but I think we should have recorded it all, so again I'll send the link out through the meetup page around that. There's probably a few beers that need to be cleaned up outside on the table, so if you want to just meander out there and grab yourself a beer, have a bit of a chit chat, and we'll wrap up. And again, thank you so much for coming. Thanks very much.